So I was asked a question last year in EU, and that question was, should I tier my Butkins bear rifle? I automatically said no. Because, you know what I mean, why would you tier a Butkins or a Barbarella in low level starting weapons? Recently I did tier my Barbarella. Level 15 I tiered my Barbarella. Why did I do that? I'll come to that in a minute. So she asked me this question. My automatic answer was no, don't do it, don't bother. When I first started the game I asked the same question. The person I asked was an experienced player. A lot of players in EU are experienced players. It's been around a long time. There's a lot of players who've played it a long time. Chances are when you start the game, you ask somebody, you'll think asking somebody who's experienced is the best thing to do. And generally it is. And it is the best thing to do, but in terms of this question, is it the best thing to do? These players are hunting big mobs. They've been playing it for a long time. Are they going to use a Barbarella? Chances are most of them no. I still use my Barbarella. I've got mid to high level weapons in the game. I still use my Barbarella to hunt lower level mobs. It's a decent gun. The best starting weapon in the game. She told me about how she wanted to play the game, how she had been playing the game, what she wanted to do in the future, which was hunting. She was basically a devout hunter, that she wanted to be a hunter. And she played 2 months, so she asked me this question. Now, as I said, when I started, I was told no, so I automatically said the same to her. I just repeated it without thinking about it. And when I originally had planned to tier my Barb, once he said that to me, it was just off the table. I didn't bother then. I didn't really think much about it myself. I just took what this player had told me. Because I'd asked him some other things and he'd been correct on all those, so I thought, well, why doubt him now? So I listened to him, didn't do any tiering on it or anything. And chances are when you ask someone a question in the game, you may be asking somebody who's got a lot of experience in the game. Now, are these players going to be using a Barbarella exclusively or at all really? Probably not. They probably moved on from it a long time ago. So when a new player asks them this question, they're automatically going to take their circumstances and how they play the game and apply it to the answer, which is going to generally be no, don't tier it. In my opinion, and if I'd have thought about it when I first started playing the game, I might have tiered it. And I wouldn't have regretted it, because recently I tiered it to tier 1. And why I did this was because tagger weapons. Most people use tagger weapons in EU. The majority of people buy limited tagger weapons, because if you go out and buy like a level 100 weapon in level 20 and you've got all these missed shots, something like a plasma annihilator has got a high ammo burn, so you're wasting all this ped basically on these missed shots. And I use a Barbarella now exclusively for tagging, and the reason why is because it suits my purposes in the game for what I need for a tagger weapon. I was using this tagger weapon which had way more range than I ever needed, and the reason why was because I thought, well, if I have this weapon and it's just a tagger weapon, one tagger weapon for everything, it'll do everything. And it worked well, but if you're hunting for a few hours a day, most people know how quickly you go through those. 1 shot a mob, sometimes 2 shots a mob. Sometimes they don't run towards you, so you've got to double shot them. And I was going through all these weapons, and the market was crazy on these weapons. It was like 130% markup or something. So I thought, well, I've got a Barbarella, and sometimes I'd default to using it, but it weren't the best. I needed more range. I was kind of on the edge of what I needed. And then recently I thought, well, 0.99, why don't I tier 1 it? It's really cheap to do. I'll tier 1 it, then if I don't like it, you know what I mean? It's no, I'm done. It's just way cheaper. There was more benefits. There was more to gain than there would have been to lose. So I tested it. And on paper it was 63.5 from 60 meters. So it doesn't seem like much, but in use, it felt like so much more. And it turned this weapon I rarely used. I'd use it for hunting low level mobs, but generally I would stick to hunting what I would normally hunt in the game. I tier 1'd it, put a range enhancer on it, and it turned this weapon I didn't use that often into a weapon I use every single day when I hunt. Every time I hunt on that game, that's my tagger weapon, because for the mobs I hunt, that range is enough. And it's not so much, it doesn't seem like a lot on paper, but when you're actually using it and you see the actual range in action, and you've turned these mobs where you tried to pull one mob with it, and you was pulling 2 or 3 because the aggro range of the mobs or you were hunting was too large, and then you can just tag 1, rarely might get 2 come towards you, and it's a weapon that you've already got, so why not give it a go? It might suit your needs. You just need to look at what you want to do in the game when you first start the game. If you are like a mid-level player and you're using a tagger weapon, like a level 100 weapon, and you only need something like at a range of like 70 meters. Now you could use something like an Azoro, but everything's got a markup, and then you're constantly having to get more, acquire more. Now they might be cheap, but then how cheap is it just to tier your barb to like tier 1 or 2 to get that bit of extra range so you can use that instead? That's an unlimited weapon that you've got anyway. I always think it's good to use things you've already got, like get some use out of the things you've already got. Sometimes I throw on my starter armor. I've got friends who are medium to high level players who sometimes just run around in starter armor because they're hunting low level mobs. As I said, sometimes it's nice on a break. It's good if you've got one with like a decent tier rate because it'll obviously tier quicker, but it's so cheap to use that it's not gonna, do you know what I mean? It's a efficient gun, it's a decent gun, so it's so cheap to use. How much is it going to cost you to get it to like tier 2? And then once you get to tier 2, let's say you're a low level player, you get it to tier 2, it's not going to cost you that much to get it to tier 2. You're not going to really regret it because it's so cheap to tier anyway. And then there's that potential that you've not wasted all this time. Like if I would have got that to tier 1 originally, it would have been to way past what I would have needed. It would have been tier 3 a long time ago, and I would have had this tagger weapon. I wouldn't have spent all this money and all this markup getting these tagger weapons that I thought I needed when a Barbarella with a range enhancer did what I wanted it to do. Now I could have used something, as I said, like an Azoro, but I was of the mindset that I didn't always know what I wanted to hunt. Different mobs have different aggro ranges. If you can get the mob further out, obviously you're less likely to pull the mobs and go into all the decay and all that. So I was kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. But now I've found that my Barbarellas, for the majority of mobs that I hunt, is absolutely perfectly fine, and it's usable and it's good, and it saved me a lot of money over the last few months since I tiered it. So she told me a bit about how she played the game, how long she played the game, which was about 2 months. And she had a budget which she stuck to. It was basically what she could afford to put into the game and still be happy and have fun playing the game. If you put too much money into a game and you can't afford it, then you're not going to be happy playing the game. So that's what she was happy to put into the game. And she had this gun, unlimited gun, and she liked it. So she asked me again, and I said again, no, don't tier it because it's a waste of time. And then recently when I thought about it, I thought, well, why did I say that to her? Like, if she liked this gun and this is what she could afford to play the game, and she were never going to be hunting like medium, large level mobs, why not tier a gun, a decent gun, that she's already got? But even if you're buying something cheap, like a Zoro for like 2 ped or whatever, think how much it costs to tier one of the starting guns in the game. You could shove that into your unlimited gun and you're never going to bother about buying new guns. Markup can change, you aren't going to worry about that. It's something, and you're using what you've already got. You're kind of encouraged to spend more money. I mean, that's what the ticker's for, isn't it? It's to like, oh yeah, look at this person got all this big global. I want to be that person, I want to get these big globals, I want to get a hoverboard. But you can play it cheaper if you just ignore all that, and obviously it needs these players, these big players, it keeps the game going. But not everybody can afford that. And I always say, if you put like, if you enjoy playing a game, any sort of game, if it's a free to play game, it's free to play, but that's only to get players into the game. Then when you get in to the game, if you enjoy the game, I always say, why not support it in some way? Even if it's just spending a $5 on something, because it supports the game. If you enjoy a game, why not support it? maybe you hunt low level mobs and you think I want that little bit more damage. Now it's not going to be huge because it puts a percentage on, and these are low numbers we're starting with, the low damage potential of the Barbarella. But if you're hunting hundreds of mobs or thousands of mobs, you're probably going to feel like it's a big difference over all those mobs. To sum up, make your own mind up. Just look at how you want to play the game and how much money you've got to put into the game. And if it makes sense for you to tier it, you like the gun, you like using it, you like hunting what you hunt, then go for it. Right, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.